course I'm recording. After I hit the record button. List style, none. And we want to flex wrap, ULs, LIs. We want to do width is 40%, sure. Margin, 1 rems. Border.
Inset. Great.
Where's my stuff? There's my stuff. I want to look up something real fast. I want to give it a box shadow.
Ooh.
Right?
I like box shadows.
Me too. I really enjoy the box shadow.
Gives it some dimension.
Yes. I want it to look like probably closer to that.
That's terrible.
I gotta save that page.
What?
Oh, sorry, the one, the second one from the bottom is terrible.
Oh,
The gold one.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Atrocious.
Yeah.
I mean, unless your whole design was something similar to that. I
This
mean,
is-
It doesn't have to do the
retro-
text. If you do
Yeah.
the text, it's fine.
It's like an abstract kind of concept.
Okay, what's that?
Yeah.
It's for the artistic
Cute.
people in the room.
Squares and squares.
All right.
They're
Actually,
rectangles.
think
Rectangles.
an outset
No, no,
border
you're right. A rectangle is a square. Not a
looks better than a
rectangle.
shadow most of the time.
Square is not a rectangle.
Some of the time.
Aw.
Border.
All from, all to the
Go to
front
heaven.
and all.
Oh.
Can you make it outside?
Tortoise and tortoise and turtle.
Yes, tortoise and toes.
Outset?
I always get
Yeah, the border is like
It's
solid.
bad.
I don't know what you mean by that. Like,
So you have a solid border. Can
Yeah.
you change the word solid to outset?
Oh, I haven't tried that one
It looks a little bit more crispy
Then
or
there's
something.
something.
yeah.
So you could do inset and maybe see the difference of
Yeah, so what it does,
It's like a
Makes it
picture
look like
frame.
it's-
yeah, it adds that to it.
Yeah.
It makes it look like it's
Bevel.
sitting out, so it's bubbled up. Inset does the opposite. Now it looks like it's in.
Kinda neat.
I'm gonna make it outset, but not so intense. Yoink. Here we go. I was gonna give it some padding as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wink. There we go. Aha! Where's that extra spacing coming from now?
Did you bevel your border?
What?
Did you bevel your border?
That's what that outset's doing. So it's out of my LI.
That one, that's a good one.
All right. Inside of my UL, LIs, all my P tags, margin 0, padding 0. There we go.
So that's
And then item text, margin 0.5 rems. Boop.
Can you
Nope.
make the time styling font different?
Yeah, sure.
For as much as you don't like CSS, you're really good at it.
I did a really massive overhaul of my portfolio recently, so I've been like all like CSS. So it's been like, rah.
You love it, don't
I adore it
Are you gonna show it
so
off?
much.
That's the
Are
spirit.
you gonna show it to us?
Whenever we get around to doing portfolios, yeah, I'm actually proud of it. Anyways, margin, and we want to change the font size of the time, right?
Yes.
Font size 0.8 rems, just a wee bit smaller. Whoop. And actually, let's do italicize as well. Font style,
And gray.
italic, color, gray. And let's come over here and add a HR after it to give it that nice little crisp line. There we go.
Nice.
I know.
So now can we add a after pseudo element with a transition?
What would we transition?
I guess,
It's the animation.
couldn't we do a border style?
You could just do a background color change. But I mean,
I don't think you probably don't need the transition for that, but
Yeah.
it's a slow transition, right? Transition 4 or 5 seconds to different color.
but it'd be interesting to see the after pseudo element because I haven't gotten that to work.
It just means after you click on it, or like, it's like a button change, right? After you click on a button, it'll change the color of the button, it'll make it so that styles are different.
Maybe out of the work.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
With buttons, yeah, but I don't know, like, the limitations of it, or what else you can do with it.
There we go. That's better.
Do a lot.
Sorry, I'm working on my button container right now while y'all talk about CSS animations. Has anyone actually used CSS animations for anything yet?
I'm trying to right now. I'm trying to use X transition in a, or no,
I've gotten things to transition over a period of time, but I would not
Yeah.
say that I've gotten anything to animate.
Yeah, I haven't had much success with CSS animations. It's a very interesting kind of thing, very powerful. We'll look at them probably tomorrow a little bit, dig into them, add some stuff here. But there we go. I'm styled. I'm happy with that. Almost. Whoop. Now I'm happy with it. And then, hold on, text. I'm not done yet. I ain't done yet. I ain't done yet. CSS uppercase. Text transform, that's it. Text transform.
One of the APIs that you could add on, it wasn't endpoints, but it was something, but you could send it through ShoutCloud and it came through all uppercase.
An API to uppercase stuff?
Yeah, and I was
That's
like,
hilarious.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You've got padding on the button still. The way complete look.
There we go.
Oh, I like
That's good enough.
that.
Very cool.
Style the page.
So
Complete.
much better than it did before.
Yeah, right? A little bit of
Read it
CSS.
now.
What?
You read it now.
Yeah, right? We kind of ignored the top part of it, but it's okay.
Why do you want me to center it? All of it.
So that's going to be, I don't even know what that is anymore. Our app has a header that we need to style. Header, font size, 3 rems. We want to boil it. Yeah. Font style. No, that's not its font weight.
It's way.
Font weight bold. Width 100%. Text align.
On the CSS, is it bad practice to use flex for the whole body, or is that just a matter of preference?
Preference. And then I also want to do display flex on my to-do list.
We should do that, right? You do flex the whole for the body of the.
Usually, yeah.
Very possible, yeah. Like, that's the
It seems to me to be easier to make it responsive if I can make it just be centered no matter how big it is.
Mm-hmm.
And also I kind of like having like pretty curved borders and then like it's black in the background or whatever.
Right. Any disadvantages of that?
Well, I'm sure there are. I haven't found any yet. But it frustrates me less when I can get some CSS to work a certain way. And here I can look at it and be like, alright, some of it's working.
Right.
And then I go comment out Jazz and see if any of the other things I've written are
Yeah, you really shouldn't shy away from putting flex on the body. Just know exactly what you're doing. That you're flexing the body.
Right, because I still struggle with positioning.
Yeah.
And you just position like no problem. For me, positioning is like, for some reason, if I need to get something in the middle or the sides, I mean, we can talk about this later.
I mean, it's one of those. You see, I'm using the same 3 properties
That's
over
the-
and over and over and over and over again, right? Because stuff looks good centered. stuff looks good, whenever it's centered on both axes. And in order for me to do that, so it's 3 lines of code.
And HTML5 is the one that puts everything on the left justified thing, right?
That's just HTML, yeah. That's just the default
So
code.
HTML6, they'll have it all centered because they'll know it's for mobile first, right?
Nope.
And
Nope, because people still like to have content on the left.
then, really?
Well, I mean, there's a design reason.
Or on the right, if you're on a right-facing language.
Yeah.
And there's design reasons for it as well. That's a whole other thing. And it's easy to change it.
Could we throw a hover element
Hover,
Yes, let's hover the buttons.
hover the buttons.
so that maybe when you hover, they turn from inset to onset?
Oh, yeah.
So Phil, one of the things I got to do, not last week, maybe the night before, was the, like, shadow on the buttons changed when you hovered. So
Oh,
it was
cool.
a really minor change.
The
but it
pixels
made me-
increased or what?
No, just the color shifted.
What's a good
towards
color
the
that complements
mouse
blue?
over it. It just, and it was a really minor thing
Oh.
that just made me smile.
Oh, it's
So it was really
That was so specific. I
That's
loved it.
awesome.
I thought it was an actual color. I was so excited.
I feel
Or-
I was like, he's used this color
Yeah.
before.
That's what you were so like, I love something.
I was like, yes.
It is a great
He's
color.
got a
It's very
palette,
professional and
and he's
useful
ready.
thing.
Great.
Oh,
yes,
that's wonderful.
Yeah, so I don't know if we have actually used pseudo elements before, or pseudo selectors like that. We're saying, hey, we have an event that says, hey, whenever we hover over this button, apply the CSS.
Can I see the hover?
Yeah, sure.
Did it change the font color?
It does,
Cool, okay.
to orange red.
Because sunset wasn't a color?
Sunset was not an actual color.
That's neat.
It sounds like it should be a color,
It does.
right? But
That's a combination of colors.
It should be a color gradient.
Yeah, exactly.
all right, cool. So now that we have our one list and our beautiful blue and beige styling, we have styled the page. All right. So here's an interesting feature that I thought about. Was clear completed. Is that I want to find all of my items that are completed and I want to delete them from my list. That's a very common thing, right? Like, oh, I've done a bunch of stuff. I don't care about them anymore. But instead of me going in through and I just would go boop, delete all.
Like a nuke button.
Yeah, pretty much. How would we do this? Thoughts? I know how I would approach this, but I want to open up to the crowd. Dante.
Isn't the, all of our saved notes are tied to our ID, right? So could we like get a new ID?
Do we need a new ID?
Or could, with getting a new ID that has a blank page on it, would that?
All we
Overcomplicating it.
what we need to do is just do a call to to fetch all of the items that have been completed and then mark them as deleted.
If
Yeah.
the delete post just,
Call it a lot.
or called once but with all the IDs,
So
where
this
all
is
the items were deleted.
yeah. So this is kind of where we're butting heads into what does the API actually allow us to do. Here, even though it makes sense and it's a really common feature to delete a lot of stuff, we only have the ability to delete one. So here, unfortunately, we're gonna have to call the delete thing a lot.
When?
For
A for loop, right? For each item where it's true, call the delete.
Could you map the?
Yeah, those
Yeah, that was
we
what
just
I was
make
Yeah.
a new array, map it.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be a map somewhere in there.
Yeah.
There might be a filter somewhere in there. Let's see how we rock out with this. How are we feeling?
now, we should be able to filter from the fetch, right? Or we just call what's been deleted. Because we kind of did that earlier when we said, okay, if deleted equals true, right?
Mm-hmm. So now we need to see something here. I'm going to keep that there. So now I want to just kind of see where the data is. So if I have these two that are completed, where is this functionality going to happen? Is it going to happen on a to-do list item or a to-do list?
The list,
Yep.
not the item, because
Correct.
it needs to happen on a bunch of items.
So it's going to happen on the list. So let's head over to the list inside of our React Dev Tools. To-do list. Oh, I can't expand it.
That's the thing I kept running into
I know.
last night.
These dev tools need to catch up.
Also,
Well, this looks so new, right?
Yeah.
I know you said yesterday that like steak kind of just felt like your trunk, but it kind of felt like that to me yesterday because steak's not labeled anywhere.
It's not displaying.
Yeah. Our dev tools display it in a different way.
Well, it just says steak, but you don't know which one's which steak.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That's
So now it feels like you're throwing over the wall.
that's the problem with the dev tools here. Yeah. So hopefully there's better dev tools out there that I just don't know about yet, or they're coming. But that is an issue.
And these dev tools are caps level dev tools.
No. Bum, bum, bum. Cool, so this is going to be something on the to-do list, right? So first off, we're going to need a button, right? That calls a function that does this stuff. So let's do that first. Anytime I don't know where to start, I always go back to what I want it to look like on the screen. It's probably a button right here, right? To-do list, so after my form, button, clear completed. And it's going to have an on click of something that's going to clear completed items. That does something. Log clearing items. Woohoo! First things first, right? First up first. Amanda?
Can we add an alert to the things that it's going to do that says, are you sure? They're really gone.
Yeah, we'll
After it does the thing. I know it's added functionality.
we'll come back to that
Okay.
because there's the cheap and easy way to do it. Where we use the built-in stuff, but that's ugly.
There's built-in stuff?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, sorry.
It's
for later. That's for later, but I wanted to make sure I asked before the
Yes.
ran off.
Yeah. But I don't like using the built-in stuff because it looks ugly and hard to control and does a lot of really bad things.
Yeah.
But
Roll your own.
that's the only alternative, unfortunately. Anyways, here we are. Clear completed items. What's the first thing we have to do? Well, we need what?
Axios calling?
In English.
Delete. Sorry.
In English.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know English. Not too deep in the code.
Amanda?
We need to find all the items where completed is true. That was mostly English.
Right, that's English. So we can use our map, right? Or not map, the other one. Filter. Yep, filter. So completed equals task list dot filter f dot completed. Complete. Let's log that out. So now we're not actually doing the delete yet. We're just seeing if we can find the ones that are deleted or are ready to be deleted. Right? Because nothing else matters if this doesn't work.
Right. Yeah.
So if I click this, I should see 2, right?
Yes.
Aha, 2.
Nice.
If I complete this one now and click this, I should see 3. Oh no. Oh dear.
It's not updating.
Because you're not updating state.
Oh, did we change the error?
I'm
map?
hooking it.
Put a hook in it, not change your message, not change it.
Because of the it's going back, so we have to do it's timing is the issue, right?
Is it? So what timing where?
I feel like it's
Yeah. Well, when we click that button,
Well, I
So
think-
it's
read
not
update.
it's not a time. Say that again.
When we click the button, it's not reading the new change. Like when you click the separate button that's complete, so you have to put those buttons together.
So let's to-do item is changing the state of a to-do item, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not affecting its parent call.
Right.
So let's say that again. To-do items, if we would look at how our website's set up, right? Here's our to-do items. Right? Here's our big list of stuff.
Right.
Here's where we're actually storing our array of items. Right? Whatever that is. Each one of these is updating and storing its own completed status inside of itself. Right? So even though we're toggling the completed status here, we're not changing it up here.
Right.
So that's our problem. Is that this list is immediately out of date as soon as something happens down here.
So you need to put it.
Update the list.
Put it.
So the list is already updated. We're not going to need a new one for this.
We need to send that back to the parent, but as a prop,
So yeah, so the problem is that this is out of date.
right?
So there's two ways to do this. We can either send it back up to the parent, which gets a little hairy, or we can make an AJAX call to get the latest list.
Oh, yeah, that's a cool idea.
Right. That's
Yeah.
cheap.
This is what Alan was talking about earlier. It's like, oh, we just want to re-get everything that we can to get the latest.
Good guy.
Yeah, right?
Right.
Like, so, Axios, being lazy. Okay, and here, refs.data.filter. Right, so now instead of going back to our state, back to our hooks to get latest, because now our hooks are no longer reliably the last one. We're saying, you go grab the last one. Go grab the latest version for me. So now, if I refresh the page, clear completed should say 3, because we have 3 completed. But if I undo this one and do this again, now it says 2.
So is that because it's not actually changing the state of anything?
It's not changing its parent state, yeah. Because we're trying to operate up on this level. But what that button is doing, that button is only operating down here.
So we were looking in the wrong place.
It is that where the logic needs to happen doesn't have the latest information, so we need to go get the latest information. Dante.
And the reason that passing it from the child to the parent gets hairy is because they're on different pages, right? And you have to like.
No, it doesn't get hairy. It's just now there's a two-way communication, and it's usually probably best to minimize that. It's not the worst solution, and it is actually a very valid solution. And if you pull in another developer and ask them how to solve this problem, they'd probably just say just pass it back up to the parent. So it's just a different way of doing things. And since we're already passing around logic, I wanted to show this solution instead.
How would you pass something back to the parent?
So just to kind of explore that real fast, we'd have a function here. The same way that we're passing our delete item down to our child as a function to call back to affect the parent. It's the exact same idea. We'd have a function const update completed status. And what do we want to pass it back up? We want to say, hey, this item was deleted. So this would take an item ID. Then in this one, we would find the item in the task list, update that item, and then update the value in hooks, in its hook.
It's easier to do it first.
This way?
No, the other way.
Yeah. So
Yeah, right there.
this way feels easier. It's a little bit simpler, right? Just saying always look at the latest. But its downside is now it's making another API call.
And if you have a limit per day.
Yes, a limit per day, limited bandwidth, bad network connection. A little bit more complicated, but it has a bit more reliability, but it's also not necessarily working with the latest version. It's 6 one way, half dozen the other. I personally prefer this way, to be completely honest. Because even though we say like, oh, bad network connection, realistically, this is not going to be used in the middle of the woods, right? But if I was making like an app for a Boy Scout troop to use while they're camping, that matters a bit more. But if I'm making a task manager for a software developer to use, where are they going to be using it?
On a T1 connection.
Yeah. You know, so it's one of those like, know where your user base is and know which solution is better. And to kind of know where the limitations are. I don't expect junior developers to know those limitations, but just kind of know that there's more than one way to do things. And hopefully you have a senior dev that says, here's our limitations. Anywho, so I'm going to comment that out for you so you can check that out. After we get our completed, then we want to, for each one of these, send a delete call, right? Oh, cool, yeah, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna go completed dot do we want to use a map or for each?
Matt. Or for each,
Let's
that's
do it
for each.
Would it functionally make a difference?
No, it won't.
But mapping, we're not returning anything, right?
Right.
We're just saying, you know what? Just
Even for each, we're not returning.
no. There's no reason to return anything because map returns something.
And we don't
But
use it.
we are not here, so there's no reason to use a map. Will it functionally do the exact same thing? You betcha. But a bit more expressive here. So for each item, I want to call delete item and pass it the ID. Because we already have the functionality, right?
Mhm.
We're just reusing the building blocks that we already have. Let's see if this works. So we have 2 that are completed. Hey, they look gone.
They are gone.
Can we do that again, but watch the network?
Yeah, sure.
potential?
Clear. Let's add thing 1, thing 2, red fish, blue fish. If I come down here, mark my blue fish is done, red fish is done, thing 2 is done, thing 1 is done. You notice how there's a lot of API calls here, right?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's natural. If I clear this out, now I'm going to hit clear. How many network calls do we expect? So we have 4 items that are complete. So how many do we expect?
One
Or
to
for
get
each.
the updated list.
Yep.
Oh,
So
One
5.
each for all 4 of them.
Yeah, right?
So 5.
off by off.
Oh.
What? There we go.
5.
That's fine.
A bit more than 5, but that's okay. Let's dig into why we got more than 5.
That is fine. There and back. There and back is 1. That's fine.
So here's our first get. All right. Here's another verb called options that we haven't chatted about yet. That I think we've seen before. We haven't really we just kind of dance past it, like hey, whatever, kind of thing. But what happens that options is it's doing what's called a pre-flight check. And what that pre-flight check is doing, it's saying, hey, I'm going to send you a post request or a non-get request. Are you cool with that? Yeah, so options, it's of course getting back a, okay, we're cool. Then after we get the, hey, you're cool, this is 1545, we see that we send the actual delete.
Okay.
So we're saying, hey, I'm about to do something with this one. Am I cool? Cool, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do this one. Cool. So actually, we get 11. Nope, 9. 9. And that's fine. That being said, is this shippable to a client? You betcha.
Yeah.
Would I go, hey, backend developer, I need an endpoint to delete multiple items? I would also say that.
Maybe
Because,
do it in one
yeah,
or two or that.
And also an endpoint to update things.
yeah. Fixture it, yeah. I put that on their Trello board saying, hey, you have a task. How we feeling? We did a lot today, huh?
Yeah.
It was useful. I was going to the watch this whole thing.
Yeah, right. So I'm gonna style that clear completed button because it's really bugging me. Because once you style stuff, like,
It's a rabbit hole.
yeah, and like, you style stuff, rabbit hole, because now every time you add a new feature, you need to style that as well,
Yes.
because it looks like that, which looks like garbage.
Rabbit hole that turns into a bear hole.
Yeah, right.
I'm probably not the only one who feels that way, because I really thought it was just a function of like how I would work so far and then get sick of how it looked and then style stuff for 20 minutes and then work some more and then be like, well now it looks extra like garbage and
Mhm.
I have to go back.
Content, display, flex. Guess what I'm gonna add here?
Just like contact, a line item.
A line item.
CSS Jeffrey.
Like,
You need a macro for that.
right?
It's a game.
Ah!
Oh. You have flexed the wrong container.
Whoa.
Oh, I see what I did.
Overflexed.
Oh.
Does anyone see what I did?
Super swole.
Oh, you put it around the whole.
I did, which was on purpose, but
Now you
It's
need
gotta be flex
Or
direction
default
column.
direction.
column, yeah, flex direction.
column.
Yep,
Defaults to row.
it defaults to row. Flex.
Wow, I knew that.
You make front end build for you get
No, you can't.
Oh, we were
You
just-
can just call.
it. No, you better read the whole
This isn't mine.
There we go.
That's so nice. I like the way this looks.
Right?
Yeah.
Amanda?
We have a few minutes.
Yeah, we have 6 minutes. At least.
Are you sure?
If I wait 40
on the
seconds,
button-
like 5 minutes.
On the button. No, are you sure for the button?
Yeah. Oh, the are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I was
JavaScript.
looking at my watch. Yes, I know. Are you sure?
Confirm box. So something built into the browsers. We've all seen the alert button, right? The alert box, where I can go.
I cheated an error message that way at one point because I could not figure out how else to make
Yeah,
it work.
right. We can go, hey, alert, hello, kind of thing. So now whenever we go to our toggle completion, what's going to happen is going to bring up that. So, hey, hello. But really, we actually want a confirmation. So there's actually a confirm where we can go, hey, oops, these. I can do if, what did I copy over? Yep. So if confirm, are you sure? So confirm is a built-in function that comes with JavaScript. It's going to say, hey, browser, show the user a display box. Show that box with that string that I'm passing you. Are you sure? If they answer yes, return true. If they answer no, return false.
Cool.
So I can say, hey, if confirm, are you sure? Come over here. Window.confirm. Are you sure? Yes or no? I'm going to go with yes. Get out of here.
Okay. But you
don't, because that looks ugly.
It does, and you can't style it to
Nope.
match your stuff.
Nope, not
That's
at all.
like vanilla JavaScript, right?
That's like straight out of the
That's like
90s.
OG.
Yeah.
OG Java.
Mhm.
That's a bone in the
But the
Yeah.
logic would be the same, right?
It's pretty much the same, right? But instead of using the built-in stuff, we have to build a box that pops up, or use a plugin that has a box that pops up and does the exact same thing. So,
Is that a lot of work?
it's not hard, but it's not trivial.
You could route a new page.
No, because the new page now we're on a new page,
Oh, yeah.
and we're entirely switching pages.
I'm just figuring out all that stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll get into something called Bootstrap at some point. And Bootstrap has a lot of built-in tools that does stuff like that for us. That makes it a bit easier to style and easier to manage and everything. And just to mention it, the current design trend is not to ask if you're sure. The current design trend is to just do it and then give the user a way to undo it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Better.
Because a thing pops up, and I'm sure there's a lot more that are like me that I'm just like, get out of my way, like get out of the way, I'm trying to do
Exactly,
something, and
yeah.
I don't even read it, and
Yep.
then I'm like, oh shit, probably should have read that, damn it.
Yeah, right? Yeah, no, I'm like that too. It's like, oh, you're going to throw a pop-up in my face? I'm going to go, yeah, whatever. And kind of
Especially if it's every time you want.
Exactly.
It's like,
Like, trust me that I know what I'm doing, but...
Allow me the option to back out.
That's
Exactly.
yeah, that's legacy stuff. The
Yeah,
whole are you sure before you even
Yeah.
do it? Because back in the day it was client on the machine itself.
hmm
Now everything's in the cloud.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, it's a new UX paradigm that is amazing. So how would we do that? I don't want to implement it because we know we're running short on time, but how would we do that? How would we give them an undo button here? Will?
well, one thing is that we could give properties to items that are deleted versus actually deleting them. I don't know if it's a soft delete in the API. So we give them a property saying they're deleted or saying that they can't be shown, and then have them not show on the page. That's one way to do it.
Okay. Yeah. So it's changing the database schema to now have something that's called a soft delete. That's a new terminology that we really haven't talked about. So whenever I delete something, that implies I'm deleting it and getting rid of it, right? But actually, there's something called a soft delete versus a hard delete. A soft delete is just like a toggle or a flag or something like that says, hey, this is deleted. All the other data is there, but now all of our logic has to go, hey, is this item actually deleted or not? So we can usually just untoggle that flag and say, you know what? It's actually not deleted. It's still there. Magically comes back. Amanda?
And that would be the only way to do it with this API, right? Because once we make the delete API call, it's gone from the API.
Right. This API does a hard delete. A hard delete is what we're actually like hard deleting. Like we're actually getting rid of it. You know, if you delete something, if you delete a file on your laptop, it goes to the recycling bin or the trash bin, whatever you call it. That's technically a soft delete.
Yeah.
It's saying it's deleted, out of sight, out of mind, but it's still there. I can go back and get it. When you empty it from your recycling bin, that's a hard delete. That's gone. So that's when we do it. We can change the data structure.
So we'd have to tie it into probably the delete button since the clear complete is directly hooked up to the API, right?
So that's if we had a control over the API, because this is a data change. This is an actual structure of the storage change. If we just want to say, you know what, you want to undo your last option, we can do that completely client-side. So what we could do is right here, store it.
Store the deleted.
Yeah. We can create another thing up here, another hook,
Is this a local storage thing?
last deleted,
Yeah.
set last deleted, use state, and then anytime we delete it,
Last delete, last set.
yeah, set last deleted to completed. And then we'd have an undo function here. Undo last delete. Undo last, yeah, we'll just undo last delete. Where it takes whatever the last deleted was and says, you know what, set my task list. And it's going to be the old list dot concat
New list, but list completed.
last deleted, yep.
Where is that storing that? Is that in memory?
Yep, it's in memory of the browser. So if they refresh the page, navigate away from it,
Then it's gone.
it's gone, and that's fine. If I'm going to move away from the page, I probably don't care about it anyways. So it's just saying like, I'm going to hold it for you, or you're moving it away, gone.
Oh,
Still a poof,
yeah.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a different way to do it. It's a bit more complex for us, right? Because now we have another thing to manage.
Well, yeah, but
And of course, when it comes back, it's going to come back in a different order. So we need to now either manage or not care about that, or give them tools to resort it.
Right.
So it's another added complexity for us, but it gets rid of that annoying, are you sure you want to do this? So annoying. So
Yeah,
yeah,
they're probably gonna ask for it anyway, so it's better you just do it.
exactly. Yeah. So cool, how we doing?
It's a lot.
I guess I'm trying to gauge, like, it seems like a really practical thing to have to make a list, especially probably in your career at some point to do this.
Yeah.
It's just like, do I want to spend the 8 to 12 hours understanding every line of code in this? Like, how important is that going to be? I don't know. I'm just trying to like weigh what's more important at this point. Like, work on build stuff, work on my code.
Well, you'll find that as you build stuff, like 80% of what you build is going to be a list. I'll just be honest. Like, yeah. So, like, you're building a list of comics.
But
The
this
list
is
compass.
like you're updating the list,
Yes.
you're deleting the list, like there's all that functionality. So
Mm-hmm. In doing those building projects, you'll understand the basic operations of code. So, yeah. It's important at this point in your careers, and every point in your careers, to always be building something. Always have a project that you're working on, always doing something. So that's
That's where
it's
you
just
get the
tough to get excited about the list. That's it.
it is. But you gotta make the list fun.
yeah, it depends on what it's
Style.
Actually,
Yeah.
I think once you get rid of it, I think you'll be fine. I mean, I think right now it's just new, and you haven't gotten a project yet that someone's asked you to do, and you haven't worked with your new team yet. I think once you get where you're going, and once we get, you'll
Yeah.
be fine. It won't matter to you after a while. You can care less if they ask you to do a list. We're seriously-
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, maybe I should just spend the 12 hours or whatever to just understand every line in here so that when that happens, it's like I'm ready to go.
But even if you understand it all right now, if you don't use it, will you understand it in a week if you don't use it? Like, wouldn't you be better off spending that 12 hours writing it again, doing it
Yeah.
yourself, walking yourself through it line by line as you write it?
Mm-hmm.
Just like with any other language. Like, if you're not using that language, you lose the ability to speak that language.
It's like playing guitar, you get to play all the time.
Really, every time when we build this list, the code's gonna be different.
Yeah.
I mean, really, variables will be different. A little bit of logic. Maybe we won't add these nuances of like an undo button or something like that. So everything's going to be slightly different. It's like building a pie over and over and over again.
But the functionality is something that's like very, like, it's just, you see all the time.
Yes.
So,
So as in building that stuff, you're going to earn that knowledge of how stuff works
Yeah.
in a more of an applicable sense rather than just studying this code.
Yeah, I mean, I have rarely been on a project where I worked on something that as soon as he asked me to do it, I know exactly how to do it from up front. And I'm not saying I didn't do it. There's always something new happening. And that's why we get paid. That's why we're in high demand. It's because almost every time you're doing something, I would say not all pieces, it's just you may find one or two pieces that you're not going to be completely familiar with on how to do. You may have heard it, you may have seen it, you don't know the actual mechanics of it. But because you had that history of learning things and working with tools and working with knowing the concepts actually helps. That's why I'm here trying to learn the concept of coding. I don't know how to do the concept of coding.
And,
Once you know the concept of coding, you will be able to figure that out.
and you gain that concept by building stuff. So that's why it's better instead of like, here's pages of source code stuff in like a book. Like, nah, go get your hands dirty. Have some fun with it.
The best way to learn Spanish is to go to a Spanish-speaking country and start
yeah,
talking.
but I need to, I'm just like, yeah. I think I'm just realizing, like, I have to learn how to do this. I'm not excited about it, but
Yeah.
I'll get it done.
Get a kid that runs
Like, the cool thing with like Star Wars characters.
And really, I wouldn't look at everything as a list. I look at how am I solving this problem. It would probably end up being a list somewhere inside of it. So, like, for example, I built a tool to help me manage my players for my DM games. All right? Right? If you don't know much about Dungeons and Dragons or any sort of tabletop games, I have a list of characters, I have what round it is, and I have my notes as a dungeon master.
You brought it up in like 3 seconds.
That's so
Yeah,
nice.
right? Isn't it?
It is.
So-
Do you
Change
have
it
dice on there you can roll?
No, because I like feeling dice, I like hearing it.
Right.
I have a set of metal dice, which, long story short.
Where do you get those dice at?
I actually got them
I don't
from
have
Candies.
that anymore.
I actually got them from Candies. There's a company called Critical Wick that has candles that puts dice inside of it, and you burn the candle and the dice comes out. Anyways, but yeah, my problem I wanted to solve was like, I need some tools to help me manage my game better. Because I just have like a text document.
Mhm.
I have 3 distinct tools here, right?
Yes.
These 2 are not lists, but a list cropped up. In this here, I can add, edit, delete, I can update. I probably don't need the crows anymore, so I can delete it and it goes away. No harm, no foul. I can add some stuff, add it, it's there, do some stuff with it. So this is pretty much basic list operations, right? But it's hidden behind the problem. So, yeah.
Now, does your delete functions all operate off a API? Or?
Yeah, oh yeah, this is a React app built on a .NET API. Source code is on GitHub too.
Ooh, so we can get it.
Go for it.
So how do you, alright, so I was looking at, certain things on GitHub that you want to implement in your own program.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing probably, right? Like how you have to clone it, and then depending on what kind of language
Yeah.
it is.
So I gotta clone this and I have to now install the dependencies and then run it.
So is your code for this then like an app.js and 3 components?
Just to do this real fast. I don't want to take you too long for lunch. I know I'm cutting into your valuable eating time. Nom 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 nom.
It's not that valuable.
It's valuable. Where is this?
Do we have a new homework assignment today?
You will. So ignore everything else. If I go into client app, this is a .NET application. If I go into client app, hey, this looks like a React app.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing too crazy. I bet you if we go into source, we'll see some components. Inside of my app.js, hey, React router stuff, right?
Okay.
Heading into components. Here's that initiative tracker, the thing that does on the left. And here's pretty much components. So
Oh my gosh, I know what you're doing.
Cool.
yeah, right?
Oh,
Here's,
Regular state.
Yeah, no hooks.
yeah, this was
That's the first thing I
That's
saw.
pretty
I'm like,
good.
you the hook? Come on, man.
This is when you wrote any hooks.
Okay, so let's
Free
go.
hooks.
yeah, this is pre-hooks.
We judging code.
Yeah, right? But you're to the point where you have opinions about code.
Yeah, we're judging code. That's cool.
Yeah, right? They may or may not be completely correct, but you have opinions. You have thoughts. You can look at code.
Your judges may be flawed, but that's good.
Yeah.
You guys do something.
So, yeah, but this isn't doing anything too crazy. This is just a React app.
Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. Do I have my API set up? Yeah. Nope, I don't. That's late. But yeah. So even though yes, this is just a list and that's boring, it's not the feature, it's just a side effect almost.
And it solves the problem.
Yeah.
Of when the
Yeah, nobody's gonna make you a web page like that.
Mm-hmm. Anywho.
Thank you for showing us that.
Yeah, of course.
That's awesome.
Again, code is on GitHub if you want to check it out. I'm actually really proud of this over here. It auto-saves, so if I update this, see it changes because it's not saved. but as soon as it saves after like 3 seconds, it goes back to that.
That's
That took a long time to do.
Finn just made an app to keep track of he called it the forgetful golfer. And he's like, I can never remember which stroke to put it on, so he like just very quickly like threw something together.
Yeah.
He's like, there are a lot of apps out there that do it, but they also do so much more.
And you just want to-
messy.
yeah.
And he's like, this is all I want.
See? Yeah. Boop. So for your homework tonight, yay, right? Halfway through the cohort, right? A lot of stuff's coming at you. We've done a lot of stuff. We're going to head into a lot of stuff, right? These next 6 weeks are going to go by really fast. So anything we can do to make those next 6 weeks for our lives a little bit easier, we're going to do. Today for your homework, you're going to have an assignment called Spit and Polish. What that is I want you to go back to 3 of your projects that you did and that you're proud of. And I want you to round them out and make them what's called portfolio pieces. Portfolio pieces have really good readmes. They have really good styles. They look good. They work. They're not buggy. They're deployed. Stuff like that. So go back and rework and really bring those things up to snuff. Because next Friday, we're going to be talking about portfolios and stuff like that. And believe me, you'll want to be doing this now, not week 11 of demo day. Right? So after you're done with that, I have some other projects for you to work on too, like some Cohens, some other things like that. Also Snowman, which is like Hangman. You want to build a Hangman. How are you feeling about that?
Is there some direction somewhere about how to write good readmes?
Oh, yeah,
Because
there's
I have
like-
written none at
yes.
any point.
Yes, there's it's how to write good readmes. There's tools to help you and everything like that. It's all in the homework.
Okay, thank you.
Also want to mention a note about Friday. Right? Fridays we're going to be starting to talk about capstones. You've seen the kind of leak in the homework. It's like, hey, start thinking about this, right? It's terrible, right? Friday morning, your 10 o'clock thing is going to be with me. It's going to be centered around capstone pitching ideas and kind of coming up with what you're building. I want to reiterate a few things for it. It doesn't have to be an original idea. You could go and try, like, I'm going to go build Reddit. But it's going to be a Reddit for people who love cartoons. Or I'm going to build a photo gallery for my rugby team or something like that. It doesn't have to be an original idea. It can be an original idea. I don't want to shy people away from that if you want to do something cool. But don't feel pressured. It's not an incubator. It's not a startup. This isn't Shark Tank. I just be honest, it's not. Its primary goal is to give you a vehicle to show off your skills and to practice your skills. So if you want to be, if he's like, I love the front end, yes, front end's amazing, then you know what? Maybe your project is more front end than back end. So yeah, the links in the homework tonight for some project ideas and projects that we've liked in the past, feel free to go check them out. Also reach out to alumni, you know, in the general kind of like, hey, do you have any cool projects that you like doing? What was good or bad about it? We have an alumni network for a reason. But on Friday, we're going to be sharing our ideas and getting the approval. So start thinking about what you want. I know a few of you have chatted with me about your projects. And that's fine. If you want to chat earlier, you can reach out to any one of the staff members, of course. Groups are encouraged, not required. As you saw this past week, group projects can be harder to some extent, but also easier in other extents. You know, but a group project, I expect more. I'll just be honest. Because 2 people, you should be able to do more than one person.
160 or wait, 80 hours.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
80 hours, right? The actual number probably lands about 60.
Mhm.
To be completely honest,
Right.
in my experience, it's like 1.5, and then 100, then 3 people, 120, probably 90.
A couple members of the group are slacking.
Yeah.
Whoever's doing the 40 hours.
Yeah. So start thinking about that. Anyways, homework will be out. Do you have any questions about that?
Yeah.
Cool.
At the moment.
Homework will be out. Note with me at 3 unless there's a lot of questions about Hangman. Snowman. Sorry. Snowman's a less common version of Hangman.
Okay.
Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
Is Snowman gonna use the same
no,
thing
it's,
that you practice
polish
within the
up
list, with your to-do list?
There
or
will
is
be a
this-
list in there, yeah.
Or is it
That
gonna be
you
2 different?
want to like.
There will be a
display
list inside of
in
Snowman,
your
yes.
portfolio.
Okay.
But it's
then
not this traditional list of like, here's a list of items.
Okay.
But you are managing lists. You're managing things.
Did you get images to this?
Cool deal.
Did you get images?
Lab time and lunch.
Oh, yeah. Actually,
Wait, so is
something I
anybody
just
thinking
got.
about doing a
Oh, we got
capstone? Like,
Yeah.